bm2c is an art collection on Berachain. It stands for Berachain mainnet cashgrab collection. So you kind of have our intention right in the name. So you don't have to think a lot about what we are doing. We're here for the money first.
BM. You're probably wondering what bm2c stands for and why this guy hates tomatoes so much. I know, at least I am. This is BlockHunters Voices, the podcast with cool kids from the blockchain space. I am Ioachim VIju, your host. Eileen, Years, welcome. How are you guys?
Hello. All good. What about you?
I'm wonderful. Waiting for Q5. For those unfamiliar, what exactly is bm2c and why do you call it the cash grab renaissance?
So bm2c is an art collection on Berachain. It stands for Berachain mainnet cashgrab collection. So you kind of have our intention right in the name. So you don't have to think a lot about what we are doing. We're here for the money first.
But can you tell me, guys, what does this collection set apart from other NFT projects in the Bera ecosystem, but beyond?
Eileen, do you know?
I'd say for the majority of the part, I think it's very difficult to enter into Berachain without being overwhelmed. And I think one thing that's quite appealing to people is the fact that people understand pretty much all four words of bm2c as Berachain mainnet cash grab collection without having to overthink. And there's not too much that is completely into Bera lore, but it does have, the Berachain culty vibes. So it's relatively easy for people to understand. I think that's one of the biggest reason why people have been attracted to it, as opposed to, being a bit more overwhelmed like myself a couple months ago, discovering Berachain in depth. So yeah, I would say that's my number one thoughts. But I don't really, have a truly formed thesis. I have asked some people, but haven't asked like all 25k followers on Twitter. So,
but basically, bm2c could be a gateway into Berachain because you don't really need to know all that lore. Exactly.
Yeah, I would say so. I'd say that it's for myself. It took me a very long time. I knew of Berachain because of some friends that I had that were investing in multiple different projects in it. Then I think that I could never really grasp everything because around the test nets, everything was changing. It was very difficult to kind of find this core document page, more or less, to have a grasp on, how the liquidity design is supposed to flow and stuff like that. So I think for me, the overwhelming part has always been like, okay, I know that, there's memes, there's bears, there's fun stuff. These people look, pretty cool. They seem pretty down to earth, like building serious shit while having fun. But then at the same time, it's just for me, it was definitely overwhelming in the case of very, very difficult to consume in like a short summary.
When I read Berachain mainnet cash grab, is it like a anti-VC statement with a degen appeal?
To be honest, I would say that I would welcome any VC into our project if they would just give me money in return for nothing. So I don't really have anything against raising. And because like at the end of the day, our goal is to raise, and the ways we are doing it, it's like it's not that important, you know.
But what was the reaction that you got from the community with a name bold like this?
Well, I thought that we would have more backlash about it, I think, but for some reason people think that we will deliver something, or like we will actually care about our holders, which is an absurd statement, of course. So I'm definitely confused when it comes to like why community is here. Why are they looking into the project?
I mean, people get rugged on serious projects all the time. Why not get rugged on something that is basically a rug, right?
Maybe. Well, I think like what is also distinguishes us from other projects is just we're very honest about what we're going to do and what you get, and all the utility and the flywheels, So it's kind of, you're the only one to blame if you're losing money on bm2c. You kind of can't even fud it.
What can you tell me about the fuckery articles, and will they have any kind of future perks or utility for holders, or still nothing?
Unironically, there has been quite a bit of utility for them. We haven't been able to figure out truly why, but apparently they're getting a lot of very exclusive stuff that other people don't get. It's a little bit of a interesting conversation whenever people come to us and say, hey, we like what you're doing, and here's what we can offer, and we're like, fine, okay. We're gonna have to do some work around snapshots and stuff. But truly, it is quite, I'd say, like back to, an earlier question you had, I'd say it's not really just about that, the honesty. I think it's just like, I think people are tired of
promises.
Yeah. And I think it's not even, under promising and then over delivering, because that that usually turns out not to be great for most project and founders. But I think a huge thing about why bm2c is this big currently is simply of the fact that we don't try to be arbiters and judge people for doing what they do. Even though as part of collecting whitelists and stuff, I have my own standard I always want to keep, but there's a lot of realism. I think that I always like to tell people it's very, very difficult to see bm2c as a community and then go into the Telegram hoping that you can become a community member or something, because our Telegram is, I would explain, quite literally the definition of hell, or the worth of humanity. All kinds of crazy things go on in there, but at the same time we don't do much to try to change people's opinion or try to make sure what is allowed in there and what's not allowed. It's more about okay, you say something, and if it's stupid, other people will know that you said it, so you have to take the responsibility for that. And if you say something that's smart, then it's a very social thing. It's in this sense. So we don't we don't try to have this brand where we decide what's right or what's wrong for people. People can decide for themselves. And I think maybe there's a lot of this, kind of like Donald Trump stuff that's been going on, fighting against stuff that no longer makes sense for people, and perhaps some people of different values. And yeah, I think that's one of the reasons bm2c really is about anybody and everyone, but at the same time they can choose for themselves.
I really like that you guys always change the name of the Telegram group. Right now is Berachain Foundation. You always have funny names for the community.
Yeah, it's just to confuse people, to be honest. I mean, it's just fucking with you guys. I'm sorry.
But how do you get to this point? I mean, it's not easy to raise a community, and so maybe it's easier to raise a community, but it's actually very hard to retain that community. What kind of skills do you need to have? Or
I mean, so a couple of days ago, just like an example, a couple of days ago, our chat hit 3.7k members. So I hopped on the Telegram, insulted a few people, banned a few people, and it went back to 3.6k. So I think that's like the most impactful things I do to help the community. I think like what we did is we did 2 Twitter spaces early on. And yeah, that's basically it. We are not having any like events or games, or because we are not trying to make it easier for people to get whitelist or to like have a good time there, you know. You join the chat, you get insulted like 15 times in the first 5 minutes. So it's kind of like we're not trying to have an impression of good community or like community that somebody works with. It's just like a fuckery, you know.
but tell me, why do you guys hate tomatoes so much, especially Years?
I just don't like the taste. I mean, it's kind of what I read is that like when you eating salad, all the greens and cucumbers, they have like similar pH levels, and then tomatoes, they have like completely different pH levels or something. So that's why so some people it's kind of hard to eat them, I guess. So I don't really, I mean, maybe tomatoes on pizza, that is good, but just raw tomatoes is not my thing.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of tomatoes. I like all the species of tomatoes. But you know, that's kind of the duality between Years and myself. We are kind of quite the opposite in everything. And I don't know, maybe one of the reasons why people find our stuff attractive is that they find themselves somewhere along the spectrum of Eileen and Years. And yeah, they they seem to be fitting for it. I think tomatoes are great simply because every cuisine has tomatoes, and it's being used in all kinds of ways. And it's something that has so much flavor, but at the same time can change the texture or taste of any dish. And I'm a huge fan of food, so I enjoy tomatoes a lot.
Yeah, it's like 2 flavors of autism, Eileen and Years.
Yeah.
What kind of role does the Berachain ecosystem play in bm2c's success? I mean, how are you utilizing its unique features? I know from your art you don't really concentrate on bears and that kind of stuff, so you're kind of unique. Everybody's doing bears, right, in the ecosystem.
I mean, Berachain was an obvious choice for me because it's been more than a year since I joined, and I kind of knew some people, and it's like back when I returned from DEF CON, I was like, oh, I need to really take some cash of these people. Like, I really need to use my connections, you know. So that's kind of why I decided on Berachain. And also the community here is kind of like different, I would say.
More DJ.
Yeah, it is like very common for Berachain projects to self-FUD, you know, which is not something you usually see, I guess, in other ecosystems.
Yeah, I mean, if you come from the exterior and look at the serious projects from Berachain, you see Lord Penby talking about crack. Yeah, they see you guys talking about you're the cash grab renaissance. I mean, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's no place to actually put bm2c other than Berachain, simply because there's been like almost 3 years of work on building out this entire culture so that it could be acceptable, because everybody's kind of doing it here, and it's actually sort of like a positive thing. And I do see that Berachain people, for me, my kind of introduction to them was definitely on the DeFi side, and my experiences with these DeFi builders so far is that they've been, traumatized by the past couple of years of DeFi, and they're really looking to change it, and they don't know for sure how everything will play out, but they know something needs to change. And I think when you're either a serious builder or a fun builder, one of the biggest traits you need to have is like the resilience to be able to push through anything. And so if you're capable of self-fudding and being able to take on any shit anyone say to you, you'll probably do very well, because it means that no matter what happens, you won't stop. So I think that the culture itself has already existed. Of course, the Honey Jar and Janitor they've been building like for 2.5 years full time on this. So this became something that could be possible. And I think that it's really awesome and refreshing to see an entire group of, or working group of builders that are accepting to truth, as opposed to just like wholesomeness or making sure everything is perfect, because that's not really the reality of our world.
So basically, at the end of the day, you are fighting yourself that you're the cash grab renaissance because you want to be a long-term builder and a long-term visionary.
No. Well, we are not fighting ourselves. We are only saying factual, true information about bm2c, and it's never to promote fear or anything. It's just so you guys aware what you're investing in.
Yeah, and also it's a powerful thing, when like I look at it as like some sort of intimidation tactic, like mostly when you're trying to go PvP with someone or something, you have this like dynamic where one person is trying to be better at something than the other. But what are you gonna do to me when I'm already saying this is a cash grab collection? Like, what else can you intimidate me with? And the truth is nothing, because the more you actually try to post on the timeline about how bad of a project we are or something, it actually helps to promote the project. So yeah, that's that's one method.
Since Q5 is very soon, hopefully in the next weeks, when do you guys plan to meet? Do you plan to meet after mainnet immediately?
I would say that likely first week.
And do you have partnerships or with NFT launch pads marketplaces, or is not something that is set in stone right now?
Yes, but we cannot discuss it at this very point. Yeah.
Okay. So basically, we have to be prepared in the first week to mint bm2c.
We don't have a set date as of right now, but we will announce it at some point.
Do you see bm2c expanding to other ecosystems as well?
So what we were thinking about is, after launching bm2c on Berachain, we can go to Monad and launch mm2c, and then we can go to Abstract and launch am2c, and it's like maybe even to Solana, so it's sm2c. So kind of a lot of possibilities to go from there,
I think it totally makes sense to go to Monad Dallas because the other two just abstract just launched and Solana is already live. So Monad, you're coming for them.
Perhaps. Multi-chain is always like a really interesting topic because I think that the biggest problem with multi-chain isn't really the actual tech. It's actually the people involved building the tech. You know, some people are a bit too restricted on their minds about what should happen and what is possible. So I think this is a frame of reference to like the reflection of the entirety of Web3. But yeah, I always like to say like blockchains are tools. You know, it's more about the people, and people use tools. So yeah, anything could possibly happen. Whether we know for sure or not, that's yeah, well,
Yeah,
to be anticipated.
yeah. Nothing is set in stone. I think that's the word. Um, I want to know what's the funniest community interaction you've had while working on bm2c. I mean, tell me a bit about the crazy people in there.
I think so. Like since the beginning of bm2c, since it took off, I've seen so many absolutely awful memes that are not even remotely funny. Every day after I wake up, I have like 14 pings in the chat. I go through them, and it's all memes mostly, and they are so bad. Like literally, I cannot even look at them twice. They're like, they make me nauseous. So I just scroll through them, and I'm like, oh my god, this community should be studied in the lab somewhere, because it's like when you think about it, it shouldn't be possible statistically. Like so much memes, at least like 1% or something should be a bit funny, but no.
So basically, it's the anti-meme.
I don't know. I would say it's retarded. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say, you know, on the creative side, if anything that comes out of bm2c that is remotely helpful to the space is that the standard of what is good and bad for memes will be increased, and as far as we're concerned, people are really shitty at it. Yeah, that's really it.
What's the craziest idea you've considered for bm2c?
Oh, that's easily blowing up a car.
If you guys could collaborate with NFT project out there, which one would it be?
bm2c fuckery articles.
What's the craziest thing that you've seen in the Berachain ecosystem so far?
Miberas?
Miberas. And who's your favorite shit poster in the ecosystem?
bm2c. I don't know. I like Johnny's tweets a lot. He tweets like twice an hour, so you can always read something.
Sometimes even faster than this. I don't know.
Yeah,
how it does
that's a lot of tweets. That's a lot of tweets, bro.
I mean, you would say that Johnny has an AI agent that posts for him, but if you know him, you will know that that's not possible because an AI agent can't think like Johnny.
Yeah, I think that if you like fed a bunch of AI agents into study Johnny, they would break. You know, they would be like, okay, I don't have enough power to actually process this. And I think in about like 3,000 years when we have alien technology, then it's possible.
Maybe.
Besides,
but I think in 3,000 years, Johnny will still have like planned tweets, because he obviously plans ahead.
Yeah.
So it's like he will be still posting daily.
Yeah, but you know how is the plan, please? Because Twitter scheduling doesn't really work. So if you want to schedule them, it drugs you. I don't know if that happened to you guys, but sometimes it just doesn't post if it's scheduled post.
Well, we just don't plan anything ahead with bm2c, thankfully.
Besides Berachain, what's got you most excited about crypto and the NFT space as well overall?
I think stuff in Solana lately has been pretty interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that the most interesting, I guess, like technology front has been the 404s for me. It's just that we haven't really found people who know how to use this properly. And I think that it will play a huge, because like the ERC or the EIP 404, I don't remember what it was called, but it was this like unofficial thing where you can
NFT
kind of
plus
put
token.
together. Yeah. So like you can put together a NFT and then it's like Lego, disassemble it. And I think there will be a true use case for it in RWAs. But I don't know what people are looking at to have this happen. But I think that this is kind of like one of the missing pieces there. So I do think, by the way, I think that other than just PFPs and memes or games, NFTs will definitely have its own use case, and it will dominate because there's not too much like it. I think different people, different working groups are trying to figure that out now. And I don't really think it's actually going to be retail adoption. I think it's going to be institutional adoption on like heavier things. So for example, like a barrel of oil or something, you put together a one representation of 10% of a barrel of oil, and then you can like break it down into 10 pieces or something, and that could be the aspect. So yeah, I'd say this is what I currently, to my knowledge, could be really, really great, as opposed to I'm actually less bullish on like gaming and stuff when it comes to NFTs.
To be perfectly honest, from my investor point of view, that really makes sense, because you can split it and sell 15%, 10%, 5%.
Yeah.
Gaming in crypto, not a real big fan myself. I don't know where the future is gonna take us. Signing every move that you make in a game is really bad, so let's see how that's gonna change.
Yeah, that's actually my shitty experiences about gaming in Web3. So I think in the past couple months I've tried a few things, and one really big problem I have is like, because it's recorded on the blockchain, so I can't just rage quit it and then like restart it and have some little hack, because it's just all being recorded, meaning you can't cheat. That's like both good and bad. But in terms of having these items becoming something and being interoperable, we're still quite a bit further away from that. But at the same time, I think a huge problem is that given how NFTs have been over the past couple of years, it's very difficult for like a public traded company to go all in on something like this, because they have so much risk. And at the same time, like the real gamers, and I am one of them, there's no current like true use for it. And you can say, well, maybe it's decentralization or something, but as we've kind of already seen, gaming developers don't really function that way. It's not really the same type of architecture around like the gaming developers versus like a decentralized finance project or something. So I don't know, maybe. And on that front, I do want to actually say, whenever we get reached out by like large Web2 brands, half of them get turned down because they also have a pretty shitty attitude when it comes to Web3 stuff. Like they're pretty much, they come in and they're like, oh, we're so and so big company and blah blah blah, and I'm just like, okay, I know what you're building, I know how Web2 thinks of you, and I also know what you're doing in Web3. I don't care, right? And it's a little different. Some people only see that they think like the consumers are the community members, and it's not always that way, and therefore they don't really know how to do this, making sure how to have their community members or consumers create more value for them, and for themselves. So yeah.
What kind of games do you play?
Oh man, I started playing like Dota All Stars in 2005, and I played a lot of Dota in my life. It's like a seasonal game for me. I come back every now and then, and I spend a lot of time on it when I'm, anxious or like can't make a decision in my career or something. And then I have played religiously World of Warcraft for since the end of the first release, so 19 years. And I played that kind of like seasonally as well in the past 10 years, but I was once upon a time someone who just spent a lot of time in the games. That's kind of where I developed my, I'd say like necessity on skill set to survive throughout the bear market. Because, as like an MMORPG player, you need to figure out stuff directly, and you need to try a lot of things. So I'd say, yeah.
And what is very interesting for me that in a way the gaming marketplace like is in this Counter-Strike Go, you have a marketplace and where you can sell and buy merchandise.
Yep.
And skins and everything. So it's kind of similar to crypto, the whole speculation and all that stuff.
Yeah. I'd say I'd say probably the closest experience I've had to thinking that NFTs around games would do very well is actually this whole, concept of creatorship and ownership economy. So I think it was like, I'd say my most intense experience was Diablo 3. When it first came out, and then everyone was kind of buying stuff all over the place. Still nowadays, lots of people use like eBay and stuff like that. I think there's definitely a really great use case for like creators to direct consumers, and then over time also gaining the royalties for it. However, it just hasn't been truly possible. But at the same time, gaming has changed quite a bit in the past like 7 years. It has gone to a completely different path nobody wanted it to go. So hopefully, I don't know. I think if you're a gaming developer right now, probably the best way is like leaving a AAA studio and starting your own thing. That seems to be the correct move for most people. Yeah.
I would say also that it is for games. It is sometimes important to allow developers to fix users' mistakes, and with blockchain sometimes their mistakes are irreversible. For example, like accidental sales or something like that, and usually game developers, they can always revert this stuff, help you somehow if you got scammed, and with crypto it's impossible, of course. So it's kind of, sometimes it is easier for user to not trade using blockchain.
Yeah, sometimes centralization is good.
Yeah, sometimes it's convenient.
Yeah. Are you a gamer, Years?
Well, what I do is I bet on rat runs.
On what?
Rat, like mice.
Oh, rats.
Yes. So yeah. I'm not gonna shield the website where I'm doing it, but I'm kind of huge in there.
In the rat business.
Well, it's just races, you kind of study the leg formation, like best techniques for 4-leg runs, like short distance versus long distance, and kind of study the results of how amount of fur influences aerodynamics and speed of the mouse. I think that's important.
Eileen, you said earlier that when you came upon Berachain, you didn't find aggregated list, what are the core projects, or something that is very well organized. And I was wondering, one piece of advice for founders entering this, founders or people that enjoy, that are entering the rabbit hole for Berachain. Can you give us, both of you?
I
Yeah.
would say that me myself, I also need advices. So if like anyone,
So if somebody finds out, please let Years
just
know.
let me know. Let me know.
That is actually a really, really good summary, because I would say that so basically I was around this project called Ramen Finance, which is like a launchpad for Berachain for a bit, and I've made some cool friends there. And even then, I haven't dived deeply into Berachain until I had to actually host this DeFi space for them. And I was a bit confused. Then I talked to Jack, and Jack taught me some things, and I was like, oh wow, holy crap, this is actually a DeFi, very, very DeFi focused chain. So what led me to like my sort of discovery process works very different from everybody else. My experience hosting that roundtable with a bunch of the core DeFi projects on Berachain was like, I felt like everybody knew each other's business a little too well, because usually on a roundtable, people like to promote themselves and they like to differentiate from each other. And I thought like, okay, what's up with these guys? Why do they know each other's projects so well? And how are they able to always say like what they can do specifically with one project and what functionality or mechanism works with another? And that's kind of how it led me to dive deeper into Berachain itself. But at the same time, I had a good friend of mine from Pith called Firehawks. He's been a Bera crazy person since I'd say January 2023 or something like that. And he sent me a bunch of articles. So they were all written by Janny. These were and I explained the way that Janny writes his articles is like Wikipedia, right? So it's like a bunch of information that you never needed to know, but you're reading it. And then there's backlinks to earlier stuff he's written. And so just like a Wikipedia page, you would open it up, every single thing you would click into it, then you have to read that, and then every single new article you have to click onto more things. So I consumed a lot of what he's written over the course of a month, and I had to do this late at night after all of my daily duties. And I kind of just was very confused. Then every single time I asked Jenny what this means, he sends me even more things to read. So I'd say I don't have a really good, progress when it comes to knowing Bera projects or have a good grasp of how the ecosystem truly works or what people are building, because everything is just everywhere all at once,
It's an endless loop.
Exactly. And but at the same time, one of the best ways to actually make sure you stick around and figure it out for whatever reason, I'm in too deep now, right? So is by building your own project. Therefore you would since we've been doing bm2c, I have discovered projects I've never heard of before that are instrumental to Berachain. And it's been quite a fun journey because I'm now forced to study it. So maybe perhaps one day I could produce such an ecosystem map. But maybe by then, there's 900 other projects, that I have to learn about.
So. Yeah, you said earlier that at this round table, everybody knew everyone and what the project does. I think most of that happened because at the beginning, 2021, 2022, there were a lot of people, not very much people in the ecospace that stick around. Most of them, don't quote me on this, I think they worked for the honey jar, so it was kind of the same people that eventually expanded and built their own projects. So that's why they know about each other.
Yeah, and that's another like very important point. Berachain has really a lot of the core contributors, whether they have their own project now or like working for an organization, they've been around for a long time. And to be able to say like, hey, I'm contributing to something that doesn't even exist, you gotta be really crazy to do that, you know, especially in like the bear market. Because when you're in the bear market, it's all about choices, and nothing looks like it's gonna have like a future. So I'd say that was one part that was very, very interesting to me, because for me that felt a lot like the early days of like Ethereum crazy people who were just all nerds and really trying to produce something that could be functional and change the world. And I saw that, like, Ethereum Foundation, as well as a bunch of side chains, later called L2s, have changed a lot, and the culture has changed a lot for Ethereum. But I found a lot of these, like, just people who are crazy enough to think that they're going to change the world, who end up doing so, becoming like a lot of these DeFi Berachain builders. So yeah, that was one thing that was really drawing for me. Yeah, super nerdy people.
Super nerdy people and very dedicated and terminally on chain, online, on everything, and a lot of lore. For me, especially, what really caught me, it was that intense amount of lore, never-ending lore. From the depths of the how it all started, from the off topic, from Olympus DAO. Everything started there. Smokey with DevBear creating bunk bears and everything. Then the market crashed. Gianni was buying, leverage buying worthless JPEGs with bunk bears. I mean, it's crazy the whole lot. If you imagine, if you tell somebody in real life about this, it sounds like you're a nut job.
Yeah, and I'd say like the other factor is like last year I've gotten to meet some people who are not currently like core Berachain builders, but they've been around Berachain for as long as the end of Olympus DAO, into the beginning of Berachain, and they're all still, super attached to everybody in Berachain, despite the fact they don't work there, and like. Some of these OGs, they've since, because of like new jobs or something, changed names and online aliases. But yeah, they know a lot. And when I asked them about what's going on, I think like 2 weeks ago, I asked someone who was an OG, like really early into the Bone Bear days, and he said, yeah, we actually used to have rap battles. And I was like, what? So yeah, it's like endless amounts of stuff to know, endless amounts of stuff to consume. At the same time, everybody's psyoping you, everybody's psyoping each other. You don't know exactly what is true, what is not, but yeah, it's a crazy group of people.
I mean, the beauty of a story is that it's nice to have a little salt and pepper, a little fiction, right?
Yeah, I think that's always really important, because it's like, I think that's what ends up creating lore. Just like the, for our bm2c kind of cultish brand, I personally think the real thing that draws people in is truth, as opposed to just trying to make everything perfect. I think that salt and pepper concept you just mentioned is very important.
I'm curious, guys, do you have any Web3 apps that you actually use in your daily life? And what's your favorite?
I use like a whole bunch of shit to trade meme coins.
Oh, so you're a meme coin trader. How's that working out? Trump sucked all the liquidity from memes.
I don't even. I mean, I get so much thrill from gambling. I don't even care about profits, to be honest. I'm just looking to press buy one more time or something. So if anything, if you guys want to get some referral links, so I get money from commissions, just DM me, of course.
Do you believe in Murad's super cycle, meme super cycle? Since we talk about memes.
I don't believe people on the internet, to be honest.
That's a good point. And how about you, Eileen?
I'd say so. I'd say the most important part about the super cycle from Murad is actually the part where it began with Doge. You know, I actually like I still remember, you know, probably in 2013 or something. Sorry, give me a second. Sorry. Yeah, so I had this like guildie, a guy that was a resto druid in my World of Warcraft guild. He was an American that later on moved to Sweden, but during his move, he was mining Dogecoin. He had literally in like the tens of or 20 million Doge or something like that, and he was the first person that told me about Doge, you know. And since then, a lot of things happen. But like, I think that both Murad is correct on the meme coin super cycle, starting from that time. But I think what I kind of don't quite understand around his concept is the idea that you have to wait for one or an entire meme coin brand to be dumped like 70% twice, and then for things to go up.
Like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So his concept is like you gotta wait for all the cheaters to like sell, and then the people who are remaining just are never gonna sell, and that's how you build a cult, or like, you know, enough people that to support the future of it. The reason why I don't quite believe it is because I think that a lot of people just forget and like they chase the next thing. You know, I think that I rarely see people who are willing to stick around for a meme or a cult for this much of a time, which actually adds to the reason why I also think Berachain is extremely strange, because people have been sticking around for a very, very long time. And yeah, I think that most people won't. And I think actually the more we have like retail users coming in, the less likely they're gonna stick around on each thing, because the first thing retail users do is like they go to YouTube and, you know, search up like top 10 meme coins to buy or something, right? So then like they're like every single one of us, we have ADHD, you know. It takes like cycle after cycle, losing money from this and that and the other, to really recognize, okay, kind of you have to really just do like 5-10% of your portfolio on fun stuff, and the other stuff you have to actually make sure they go into the large caps. So that's like that would be my case. But the other thing I do want to bring up is I think a couple months ago, Meow from Jupiter actually said like, actually, you know what, everything is actually a meme coin, and you need to produce a product for the community that exists around this meme coin. And that changed, like I was a little bit, you know, mind fucked by this concept, but later on in the past, I'd say like 6 months, I started to realize this is actually true, and the people who do the opposite don't end up doing well, you know. So yeah,
we've seen a lot of technical projects really doing bad, because they didn't value community, they didn't value marketing, they didn't give good vibes like we have in Berachain, because people at the end of the day, they like to have fun, and they have human nature is a gambling nature. So
yeah, I agree. I think at the end of the day, it's like, okay, let's say for example, you're given 2 opportunities, and one of them, like both of them pays equally well, kind of the same job, kind of the same people you work around and stuff. At the end of the day, you would pick the one that makes you more at peace than the one that gives you more stress. So in a working setting, it usually reflects on like being able to get along with your coworkers, for example, and that's one of like the reasons why I think like aside from like money incentive, all of these factors actually matter. And the same thing is true when you're building a community or when you're entering a community as a retail user. Like if you got everything, you know, all the roles, all the airdrops, what's left, right? And if you don't have that what's left, then there's no way they're gonna stick around. So Berachain did it the opposite. They started the what's left, and then started like other things, you know. So that's the really interesting part.
Before we wrap this up, I want to really know, how do you guys stay grounded in those market fluctuations that happen all the time?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
How do you stay grounded when there are market fluctuations?
Oh, it's easy. I just hedged my portfolio against a television, 4K television in my kitchen. I bought it off article funds, so thank you for the mentors.
Thank you for your service, guys.
Yes.
Do you want to say something for the community, guys?
I actually try to talk to them as little as possible.
Thank you very much for everything. I mean, I really enjoyed everything. I wish you all the best. And thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for having us.